Welcome everyone. In this lesson, I'm going to do from the book Excel Module 2 that's begin on EX2-2. If you haven't already noticed that all the instructions are on the even pages and the odd pages give you other relevant information as well as examples of what should already be done and what it should look like. So I've opened up the file, the data file, EX2-1, and I'm going to save it by hitting F12 and save it with a different name. And I've already done it, so I'm going to just save myself the hassle of typing it in, get the do you want to write over? Yes, I do. And can't change it until I close the one that's already open, which should be fairly easy. And that would be this one. Done. Now we'll go back and save it again. So if you do get that message, you're trying to write something, check to see if you do have that file open, because you can't overwrite a file that is already open. And it exists, yes it does, and boom, we're good to go. So the very first thing I'm going to do is select the range G3 to G15. So here is G3 and here is G15. And it wants us to click on the accounting number format. If you recall from our last lesson, the accounting will put commas after the thousands, but also add a dollar sign, or you can do a different symbol if you prefer. So let's click on it. Notice that it already put in a dollar sign, but there are no commas because there's nothing more than $1,000. So let's go back to the book, and number 3, we're selecting H3 to H15. So here is H3 to H15. And we're clicking the number format arrow, which is this here. It wants us to go to, actually, I skipped a step. Oh, no, I did not. So we're going to click on the number comma here. And I missed that step, so that takes care of that one. So now I'm clicking in cell M1, and we're going to choose the number format here, not this percentage. Click the arrow, and we want to choose percentage. And then we're going to, we can't increase it until we save it to 2 decimal places. Now we can increase it. And then it wants us to decrease it 3 times. So the reason that we're doing it is so you can see the effects of both. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So now we're going to select the range C3 to C15. So let's try that again. And we're going to click the launcher. Then with launcher, we're going to use the number arrow group. And it wants the date, and we are going to use in 14 of March date format. That is number 7. Number 8 is select the range I3 to J15. Done. And then in the shortcut menu, click the category list, which is this here. And we can also right-click on it. So we're going to right-click, and we're going to use Format Cells. And then we're going to choose currency. Here's currency. And we're going to make sure that it is at 2 decimal places. So you can see by using the Format Cells drop-down arrow, you have more flexibility. I can change the symbol. I can get rid of the symbol. I can do extra decimal places however I want it. And let's click here. We have 2, and we're good. Now we're going to G. We still have G3 to I15. and it wants us to click the decrease decimal. So we're going to click it on twice. To get rid of all of the decimal points. That is number 9. I'm saving it and hitting Control Home, which is essentially going to cell A1. So I'm looking at the chart on figure 2.1 on the next page, and it tells me that it looks like everything is doing well. So let's go to 2.4, which is changing the font and font size. So I'm clicking the font arrow with this selected here, and I'm going to change it to Calibri, which I never can pronounce right. I don't see it here, so I'm just going to type in CAL, and there it is. Change the font size to 20. And let's see what else they want. Cell styles, we're going to do heading 1. So here's our cell styles. Click the drop down, and we're going to do heading 1. That is number 3. Number 4, we're selecting the range A2 to J2. And we're going to use, and we're going to do heading 2. Now we're going to, that was number 4. Now we're going to L1 and hold the Shift key down and click L2. Now we learned that from Microsoft Word. Click where you want to start, Shift click where you want to end. So I'm holding the Shift key down and now I'm clicking. And it selects both L1 and L2. Now notice that you have the text going to the left, and that's because we have it aligned to the right. So instead of going to the next cell, it's going to the one on the left side. So we are now clicking the style buttons, and we're going to use heading 4. So here is heading 4. That is page 2.4. Next, we're working on 2.6, and we're going to be doing alignment and doing some font styles. So we're going to A3 to A15. And it wants us to make it bold and then italic. So it's now bold, it's now italic. Now, it wants you to get rid of the italic, and by clicking it again, and the I button and the B button and the U button are nothing more than toggle switches. If it's not on, it'll turn it on. If it's on, it'll turn it off. So that is number 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to click on center. Now there's 2 centers, and actually this is top, middle, and bottom. This is left, right, and center. So here is the center. And it wants us to click the Format Painter in a clipboard book here. And then we're going to copy that format to B3 to B15. So that made it bold and centered. And every other format as well. Now we're going to go to A1 and merge and center. So we're going to go all the way up to J1. Click on Merge and Center. That is number 6. And number 7 tells us to compare to the next page, which I will do. And I'm comparing it to figure 2.6. Actually, should be 2.8 that it wants us to compare, and everything looks good. So the next one is, we just did 2.6. We're going to do page 2.8. We're going to adjust the column width. This can be a little tricky at times. So if you have a little bit of trouble with it, it's not that big a deal. So we're going to click between column C and column D, which is right here. and we get the crosshairs. And then what it wants us to do is drag until we can get 94 pixels. This can be a little bit challenging. So let's go and see if we can do it. I'm having trouble getting it. So I'm going to leave it at 93 because I just can't seem to get 94. But there's a way to fix that. Tells us that the column is actually 12.71 characters. So we could actually right-click on this, choose column width, and type in 12.71. So that works well if you know the characters. If you only told the pixels, you have to drag it in there. Now we're going to go between column D and E, and we're going to double click. And that will make column D the widest of its biggest entry. So whatever its biggest entry is, that will be the width in here. Then let's go, we're going to use AutoFit to do E, F, G, and H. So here's E, F, G, and H. And we'll do it here, like so. And then we'll do column L. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Okay, now it wants us to position the column header and in column I, so it changes this to a downward arrow, and select I and J, which is what we did before. Notice the bottom arrow and J. And we're going to go to column width in the format group. So we just need to, that's really fairly cut and dry in here. So we're going to click the format button and then go to column width. So we're in cells, we're going to click on format, and we're going to do column width, which is the same thing as right clicking in there. Just another way to do something. And then we're going to type in 14. Click on OK, go to A1, which is by hitting Control Home and saving. Now we are on that was 2.8. We're on 2.10. We're going to insert some columns and delete some rows and insert some rows. So let's right click on F2. Here's F2, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click on insert. And here's our options. We can do an entire row and entire column. We can shift the cells right, shift the cells down. If we shift them down, then this will become blank where type is, and then type will come all the way down over here. So let's go and do the entire row. Click on OK. And notice that the format painter is here. So those are insert options. It tells us to click on the button over here. And you can see the options, which is pretty much for the formatting as we wanted. And let's just leave it at format same as above. And click till you get it out. Well, it's not getting out, so I'm going to click somewhere else, and that will take care of it. And it's still not taken care of. Well, anyway, we don't need to worry about that. It doesn't want to disappear, so I'm not concerned about it. So it does say click it to close the menu without making any changes, but it did not seem to want to work for me. However, we didn't make any changes, so that's fine. So we're going to go to click the delete button in the cells group, and so we want to click the row 9 heading, which is right here. And we're going to go and click on delete right here. So that'll delete it, or you can right click and choose delete on it. So let's click the delete button. Do not click the delete arrow. So now we have too many rows being deleted. So let's undo this and undo it again. So I'm still having a little bit of issues with my mouse. So I'm going to go back to, and let's undo it one more time. So it seemed to have deleted 3 rows. So let me try it one more time by clicking on the delete button. I'm going to right click this time and choose delete. So that took care of that. So I do not know why the delete button did 3, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. So again, every time you do something, make sure that you check to see if what you wanted to do got done properly. And if not, you can always undo it. That's a good reason why you want to constantly save. All right, we're done. Let's go to column K, which is blank. And let's click the delete button and see what happens here. All right, so apparently my mouse is responding without me clicking. So I will have to change my mouse in there and take care of that. So let's undo that again and right click and choose delete. So there seems to be a mouse issue where it seems to want to do things on its own, which can be very depressing. So now I'm going to save my work. That was page 10. We're going to do page 12. We're going to apply colors, borders, and some other documentation. So we're going to select the range A4 to A15. A4 to A15. And we're going to do the fill color, which is here. And it wants us to do the second row, fourth column. First row, second row, fourth column. That's third. Here's fourth. And that's lighter 80%. So let's click down here, and that's what we wanted. Now we're going to go to the borders arrow, and we're going to choose right border. So we have it selected. Let's go over here, and we're going to choose right border. And then we will choose the font arrow. We're going to do blue, gray, text to color, which is first row, fourth column. So first row, fourth column. That is number 3. Now we're going to click on the Insert tab, which is here. And it tells us to click on the text button, but I don't know of any text button. We'll just go to the text group over here. And then we're going to click on header and footer. So here's header and footer. And now that puts us into page layout view. And then it creates a header with 3 options, left, center, and right. It wants us to put the sheet name, which you'll put an ampersand and some brackets and tab, which means fill in the name of the sheet. That was number 4. And number 5, we're going to click on the Go To Footer button. And in the middle, we're typing your name. And to get out of it, just click outside anywhere. And we're going to go to View and back to normal. That was number 6 and 7. So now it wants us to do print preview. So you can see some things here. Let's go to print. And here's preview. So notice that it only goes up to commission. And where this will be on the next page. The revenue rate and the commission rate would be on the next page. And there goes my mouse doing things for me without me doing it. So after I make this video, I will be changing my mouse. So now we're going to apply conditional formatting. So we're selecting I4 to I15. And we're clicking over here is the data analysis, which we could also use another way of doing it as well. But we're going to choose data bar. So let's go to styles group and home temp point to. So actually we need to do it up top here. We're one step ahead of it. So let's go to conditional formatting, and we're going to do data bars and the gradient fill. I'm trying to do some things by memory, unfortunately, and that doesn't work. So now I notice that I missed this one here. So let's hit F4 and see if that works, which it did not. So we'll go back to Home. We'll go to conditional formatting and data bars and gradient fill. Done. So let me select this here. And here's our quick analysis. And you can see that I'm having a lot of trouble with my mouse. So let's try to do this one more time. And it wants us to choose the grader. Okay, it is really not working very well. So let's try this. I'm going to pause this video here. I am back. I have changed my mouse. I did that by going into Device Manager and uninstalling the mouse, taking it out, and then putting in the new mouse and let Windows 10 install the proper drivers. At this point in time, it does appear to be working. So we're going to find out pretty quickly. So I'm selecting the range G4 to G15. Did we do that? So let's select G4 to G15. And we're going to use the greater than button on the analysis form, which is right here, the button. We're going to click greater than, and it wants us to type in 500. So anything that is greater than 500 will now have a light red fill and dark red text. Click on OK. That was number 3. Number 4, we're going to G4, and we're going to type in 499, which is not greater than 500. So as soon as I hit the Enter key, it should change. You can check Home. And we're going to rename a worksheet. So we're going to rename it. I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to make a part 2 of this so that I can process this, and then I can keep it a little bit less. Normally I make my videos in 2 parts, but I have another meeting coming up in 5 minutes, so I'm not sure that I'll be able to finish it. So let's